when you crack, that's when I expect us to be like, that's what the episode starts. We can talk for a second. Just, you can talk about whatever you're going to talk about before we start.
I mean, I guess it really doesn't matter.
Crack them then. Want to crack them?
Yeah.
All right, come on.
He said, you want to crack them, man? Come on, man, let's crack it.
Hey, man.
So, okay, a couple things. Yeah. Cheers, brother. I've actually been watching a lot of Intervention. So I'd like to talk about that.
Okay. What?
In regards to just people being addicted to having, addiction.
Yeah, I was wondering what kind of intervention, like substance intervention,
everything, yeah, like
porn or sex intervention,
intervention.
Whatever you can be addicted to. Yeah.
It's for addicts, and you can be addicted to lots of things, not just drugs.
You watching it on YouTube?
Yeah, actually,
on YouTube.
Yeah, and
are you watching this stuff because you're prepared that it's going to happen? Preparing?
I've watched it in the past. It's actually helped me with people in my life that have addictions. So I think it's beneficial to people that have people that are living with addictions in their lives. Gives them some perspective. You're not alone. People go through this, and you can help these people that you love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you start watching intervention stuff? Like, is it recently? Like, get into it recently, or even?
Oh no, it's an old TV show. I've watched it for years, I guess.
I know, but you said you.
But yeah, it's been popping up on my
YouTube.
I've
just been watching interventions.
Yeah, because
I know the show.
Right, and so when they pop up on my YouTube, I click on it. Sometimes it's a good way to learn about specific addictions to specific things. People who are addicted to heroin, for example.
Yeah.
Like the lifestyle you see, and it's easy to see that in people that are addicted to heroin, and so you can, it's like reassurance that these things are happening. It's like normal for that situation. Like that's how it looks. But yeah. It's I think it's an experience. I'm not gonna lie. Sometimes it'd be having me almost to tears.
For real? You're an emotional person when it comes to that.
Yeah, stuff. I think so too.
Yeah. I sometimes wonder if I don't have enough feeling or
empathy?
Emotion. Yeah. Because a lot of people I feel like will watch some shit like that and get emotional, and I'm just like...
So...
I don't know.
I'll go ahead. I'll say, when I was a kid, I played a game in my head. Now, this may make me sound crazy. Maybe crazy. Maybe maybe if somebody listens to me speak for hours on end, they can diagnose me with issues. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
But as a kid, I used to play a game, and I would think about what other people would see,
their point of view,
their perspective. So in this instance, if I were to do that, I could close my eyes.
Okay.
And I could see exactly what you see. I could see what's behind me because I know in my head. I would do it in a lot of situations with different people. And I would just, sometimes even strangers. Sometimes in a passerby in a car. Be like, well, I wonder what it looks like to them.
Where you were like, oh, I'm going to see their point of view right now, and I'm going to imagine that.
Okay.
Because it's imagining. No, that's what I'm saying. That's what you were doing. Yeah. You were like, oh, that guy's standing over there by the vending machine.
This is what he sees.
He's seeing
me drive
Snyder's pretzels, Doritos.
Because I'm driving by
Snickers
with
bar, and then he looked over and saw that car pass by.
Right.
Why do you think you played that game?
I don't know. I just found it amusing. And now I think it, as an adult, I feel like it helped me develop empathy.
Yeah?
Yeah. Because I used to do it for fun. I used to practice being empathetic in a way. Isn't that crazy?
So you're saying practicing seeing the world in a different point of view caused you to be more empathetic towards humans. Because you
just
can
other
see
people.
Yeah, but...
And so, for instance, back to intervention, when I see a family being ripped apart from someone's addiction.
Yeah.
I have firsthand experience, of that. I've seen it in my life, so it's easy to relate. But like, for instance, I'm like, wow, that could happen to me. I could go through that too.
Yeah. For me, so, I'll play the game right now.
Okay.
So your point of view with the intervention show is you see it as like empathy, right? You're like, oh, I could see that. For me, it's humbling.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, man.
Makes you grateful.
So many more people have it way harder than I do. And when I have those days where I'm like,
this sucks.
I fucking have to work so hard and I have to do this.
It's hard.
And the fucking groceries and the fucking bills.
It's a lot.
And the inflation. And then I sometimes have to see those things and go, dude, I also could be stealing my fucking wife's jewelry and selling it at a pawn shop so I could get my fix before I go home.
Yeah.
Like a lot of people do.
Yeah.
Or, betting this month's rent on the game because I have a gambling addiction and I fucking lost and I don't know what I'm going to do to get through this month.
Yeah.
For me, it's humbling. It's not empathetic because
it makes you it makes you go introspective.
It makes you go, damn, I don't have it that bad.
Yeah, you got it good. Got it good, baby.
For real, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's so easy to fall down the trap of like, oh, no one just gets the amount of shit I have to deal with. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But really, you're like, oh, you don't deal with shit.
Oh, it's
not even close to what some people deal with.
Yeah.
So I like that kind of shit because it's not that I feel bad for that person. It makes me go, oh, I need to stop being I need to stop complaining about how hard I have it because I really don't.
Because some people are living out of an abandoned house.
Yeah.
That they break into. They move the wood out the window to sneak in. They built a makeshift shower in there, and their whole family lives in there because their whole family is addicted.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think that's a pretty cool perspective, that we can both look at a show like that and feel different things.
I think that's why it's probably popular because not only is it doing that for you,
it's always humbling for me.
It's doing that for you as like a user experience, but then it's also doing great for these people because at the end of the show, dude, I know you see a lot of people relapse and a lot of people struggle with it still, and they're like, this person literally left 6 days later, but some people it's like this person's been sober for years. You'll be like, wow, that's a long time.
Do you think...
And you're like, good for them. You're like, good for them.
With addiction, do you think the person that seeks out help like AA or NA, how do you think that works as far as awareness? With a person that's like, yo, I have a problem and I'm going to go get help. And then the person that just their family has to intervene and be like, yo, you need help. What do you think that is?
A choice.
Yeah, but
I think it's a choice. I think a person chooses.
Do you think if you really were having an addiction problem with whatever the case might be, it could be anything, you would be able to go, I need help and go seek it? Or do you think it would take your friends and family be like, hey,
I'll tell you my opinion
because you have been blowing your money on gambling.
This is what I think.
And you're in trouble.
I think there's a point in a person's addiction where they are conscious of it.
Aware, yes, aware.
They're aware of it. And then they either choose to cross the line and full send.
Yeah, go down that road. Yeah.
Full send.
There's a fork, and you're going to full it.
And that's what I think. I think it's a choice.
So enough is enough, right?
And I think sometimes, depending on what that choice is, whatever they're addicted to, maybe
sex,
it might be stronger.
Drugs, gambling,
right?
Everything. There's a million
because
addictions.
A lot of things I'm like, oh, I don't think that would ever control me like that. But some people it controls and they can't.
Yeah, but what do you think that is?
So I think it's a choice at first, and I think then once you cross that line, it's it's kind of too hard to get back on your own, because then you're there, and I think you're just. Not only is your body physically dependent on it, but mentally, I think you think back to that crossroad and you're like, look, I made that choice back there at that crossroad. So now I live with it and this is my life. And I think that's what happens to a lot of addicts.
I think people get out further in the water than they intended
and they're like, guess what? I'm drowning.
Yeah. So
but guess what?
But then some people don't know they're drowning though, right?
But I think what happens is, again, there's a choice where, wow, I made this super detrimental choice to my life, to cross the line with what I was consciously aware of me being addicted to.
Yeah.
I knew that if I continued this, I would not have this, for example. I chose that.
I don't know if
I think that happens.
You think that's how addiction works?
I mean, I think it happens at one point. This is just me.
This is my opinion. Oh, yeah. I'm listening, but I'm also interjecting, too.
Yeah, of course.
You got to. We don't sit here and say, yeah. If that's the case, we'll hit smelling salts and we'll say, yeah. Yeah.
No, but I think there is that point. But I think what happens is when people, okay, let's say you go down path A or path B, path 1 or path 2. Path 1 is where you cut back on that. You're conscious of it. You say, this is a change that I need to make, and I'm making a willful choice to make that change. And you make it, let's call it early on in the journey. And then if you make the second choice where you continue on, maybe you lie to yourself, no, I can stop or whatever, and I'm just for another, whatever. You make that choice, you convince yourself, and then I think that road isn't a road, it's a slip and slide, and you're too far gone, too far quick, and when you look back, it's too far, and you're slipping, you're sliding, and you're like, I'm drowning, and then you say, I feel let's ride it out. We know it's going to happen.
Yeah,
and I think that's when, because you asked me, that's when that family intervention
has to happen,
or the loved one intervention.
But I don't think the person.
That's when
but I think when the person's that far down the slip and slide, they don't even look back and say, "Oh, it's too far. Fuck it now." I think they're just. It's just they're gone.
And I think.
And do you think?
But then there's a point
mentally. Like, do you think some people are more mentally stronger than others?
Yeah, obviously.
And I think that's where. I think that's what the true addiction is. It like. Some people don't mentally have a grasp as well as others do, and it takes them easier. You know what I mean? Like, I think some people are. It just takes them quicker. It's easier to take it. You know what I mean? And when it takes them, I don't even think they have the ability to go, oh shit, I'm down here now. I'm just gonna keep going. I think they get just taken so easily by.
They're
and
like
there's
blind.
a million factors that can fucking play into
metaphorically
it.
blind.
They're just so far gone, and they don't know
situation.
it. I really think those people don't know it. Mm-hmm. I don't think they see themselves down the slip and slide. I think they believe they're like, I'm fine. I know it's a little crazy, but I'll be okay.
I mean,
but really, we're like, yo, how the fuck do you think where you're at right now is okay? That's what I'm saying.
Right.
So the true addicts, I don't think they can identify where they're at. Because if you could, you would never be there.
Well, then that's where... Right. Well, then that's
I think... I'm probably not right, but...
Let's say that's where that intervention comes in and say, hey, dude, you've slipped and you don't even know it, okay? Mm-hmm. And I think, again, it's like back in the beginning, like you said. Hey, look, someone comes in, and usually it's like a former addict. You know, a lot of these people get these people... They're sponsors. Right. It's someone who has kind of gone through the same thing as you.
Yeah, a lot of those addict groups and communities are formers.
Yeah, and it's a community that help you get out of this situation, man, you're going to come here and you're going to live in this community, you know.
And who would know it better than someone who has lived there?
Right, and we're going to help you do it.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's the person that I feel like if I was in that situation, I'm like, all right, this is it. This is the last opportunity that I have now. I had made a choice at the crossroad, and it was a crossroad, and I slipped far. And somehow, some way, the roads met back together again. And this is, again, another choice that I can make. Maybe I've become blind. Maybe I've, slipped and I don't even know it. This is when the loved ones in your life, hopefully people still have those people in their life that they come together, they intervene, and they say, look, we're giving you this opportunity. And it's usually like, look, go get better right now. This is it. This is the moment. maybe that you've talked about, you know?
Yeah, I just feel like those people always have such a hard time understanding that.
Yeah, but sometimes...
They're like, no, I don't have a fucking problem. And you're like, dude, it's clear as day you do. But that's what I'm thinking. It's got to be something.
And that's when it's
mentally.
Another... Some people maybe do have
but also could be upbringing, too. There's like I said, I think there's so many factors that it's kind of hard to blanket statement one.
It's a nice big survey of situations that it's hard to put together into a whole because they're all different, right?
I mean, look at Tiger Woods. That dude was fucking addicted to sex. I mean,
I don't know much about the situation. I know about what the news kind of said. He was like
he
running around
got
with his wife.
married to his wife. Mm-hmm. They had a baby, and he's obviously, you know, one of the most famous, definitely one of the most famous athletes of all time.
Oh, one of golfers for sure, but athletes.
Oh no, he is the most famous golfer of all time.
Okay, nice.
But he is one of the most famous athletes of all time. He's a person that you're like, yo, name the top 5 athletes of all time. He's in that category. Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Tiger Woods. There's a handful of them that you're like, you know, everyone knows who they are, even if they don't know the sport. You go up to 100 people in the street and be like, do you know who Tiger Woods is?
Yes.
And they'd be like, yes. And you're like, who? He's a golfer. And you're like, have you ever watched golf? They're like, no. Exactly.
Right.
And that dude was fucking, literally fucking, because he was that famous and that, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it literally was an addiction because the guy literally just, to do that and be married and do it all the time, nonstop, with no like regards for your family, your career, anything, like it's got to be a true addict. And it's like, damn, if someone like that can be addicted, can't really anybody?
Yeah.
I mean, that is a top tier.
Yeah, when you have athlete. Everything you could ever ask for, and you still slip.
Yeah, but then again, something caused it. You know, and we can't say what it is because we're not Tiger Woods.
Well, it's been proven scientifically that most of the time there's some kind of trauma.
Yeah.
Whatever that trauma may be. You know, mental, physical, emotional, you know, whatever it is.
So if there's any type of trauma in your life that is traumatizing enough, it eventually
can cause you to slip
itself into something.
It can cause you to lose your your will, not your grasp on reality, but your like will, your motivation for living. Yeah. And I think, you know, when you don't have, because I've been recently feeling like a nihilism, which means like nothing matters at all. Nothing matters. No matter what, nothing matters. There's no purpose for anything. When you think about the whole of the universe, I think we've talked about it briefly.
Yeah, we've gone down that.
And so that's detrimental to think that way. So then I say, regardless of there being absolutely no purpose, I can determine a purpose for me. I feel like, you know, there are ways and there are avenues to help people find that motivation, whatever it is for them. We've also talked about it, art, how like, you know, people can be dirt poor, but still wake up every day and get all the money they have to buy paint, to paint canvases because, you know, it's something different to just find a purpose in life, man.
Yeah. Life is a game, and there's an infinite number of possibilities and outcomes. And I think that sometimes we put too much focus on the right path when time and time again, so many people who are either insanely successful or happy in life have gone down a path that's not even completely considered normal. And I don't think that, like you said, being a nihilist where you're like nothing matters, because truly it doesn't. It's a speck in a sand of a piece of sand in a desert,
time,
in a piece of
incomprehensible.
Sand in a desert. Yeah, so it's almost like you have to be able to sort that out into the point where, you know, you have this so-on-so one life. You know what I mean? Mm. Maybe that's true. Maybe it's not.
Right.
Who knows? But
you got now.
It's almost,
you got now for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But it's almost, if you try to think too deep, that's bad. But if you also try to just full send, that's bad as well. You got to find like an in-between. And I think it's detrimental to not be such a deep thinker, but also not be such a... I mean, well, fucking, who cares, man? It is what it is, right? But then again, I just think there's so many solutions. There's so many possibilities, and there's so many outcomes that you really only can control one, and that's the one that you're in control of.
Yeah.
So
and
it's good to educate, I think, yourself with a very diverse selection of literature, video, audio,
growth,
life, substance,
learning,
friendships, everything, and to eventually filter out and establish
what's meaningful,
what is going to be detrimental to me at the end, being like, that was tight.
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe the person that not had to, but had an addiction or didn't, maybe, you know, at the end of their life, if things went the right way or didn't go the right way, they're like, tight. I had to go down that path to get to where I am now, and tight. All right. And it unfortunately doesn't work out for everybody. You know, nothing has 100% success rate, does it? Nothing does.
I mean,
nothing does.
But I could be wrong, but you're saying that's an absolute, you're saying that's 100% absolute fact.
Nothing does. I mean, there's no no lifestyle that is 100% success rate.
I'll throw out a quick quote by Socrates the Great.
I love some quotes.
The only thing I know is that I know nothing. And if you live your life that way, it's pretty healthy, I think.
Yeah.
I was thinking when you were talking about kind of thinking about controlling the things you can control, and that's you, and that's your mind, and that's your life and your actions, and you really do have control. Be conscious of that.
Yes.
But for me, I guess, is it astrological signs when people ask you, like, what's your sign? Is that astrology?
Yeah, right.
Astrological. Yeah.
I don't think it's astrological. What do they say? What's your
sign?
What's your sign? Yeah, but
yeah. Is it astrology?
Yeah, I get right. What are you?
I'm a Gemini.
That's my Gemini twin dog.
What are you?
Sag.
So what does that mean about you?
Sagittarius. I've never been huge on the astrological signs.
But like, what do you think that matches from that to you?
What do you mean?
Like when people say you're a Sagittarius, like what are those kind of characteristics that do match?
They're
to
like
you?
You think a lot.
You're
a people person.
You're a people person. You think
talk, think, and you're loud.
You're definitely loud.
You're not afraid to voice your opinion.
Yeah, that's true.
Successful, and I believe it's like it's usually like they're very like what's the word? They're like biased. Like this is how I think. This is what I believe, and this is it. I mean, and I'm not afraid to say that, and I'm gonna say it, and I'm gonna fucking preach it, and I'll listen to what you have to say. But this is what I believe. You're very firm, like where you stand.
Cool,
preach. You know what I mean? And I like to be. I like my stances. I like my hot takes. I really do. You know, I've never felt like I've been like a go with the flow. Like I've always liked to think a little bit. Like I get the flow. I understand it. Mm-hmm. I can see the flow.
Yeah, you ride it sometimes.
But I like to detour.
Yeah.
And I like to... one of my favorite songs in the world is Frank Sinatra's My Way.
Sweet.
I did it.
Don't you have to sing
My way.
No, before I talk about me
regrets.
Don't start. Before I talk about me being a Gemini...
That's my Gemini twin dog. You know who else is Gemini? I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I totally forgot the segue. Yeah, I totally forgot. Yeah, it was a segue before I was talking about me being a Gemini. I was going to say something about you being a Sag, and it was back to people being addicted, and people addicts and addictions. And I wonder if there's like some statistical data that like proves maybe if there's a certain astrological sign that's more prone to becoming addicted. or having an addiction. I guess it's probably addicted to
like what
things, but I wonder if there is any
I
wonder if there's any correlation with astrological sign and addiction.
I'm sure that you could probably do a study on that and probably survey.
I wonder if there already has done.
Probably.
If there is,
we'll
put it in the comments. Put it in the comments.
I mean, let us know what you think. I mean,
I'd love to know.
Yeah, I'd love to know as well.
But me, a Gemini, it's just two twins. So it's like extremes, just opposites. And I'm 100% that. I feel like that's just me. Because, but then you're talking about controlling things. And so externally, when it comes to things externally, I'm the one end of just no purpose, man. Can't control it. Just gotta ride it.
Yeah.
Then on the other side, when it comes to introspection and internal, I'm just like overanalyzing.
Deep.
Analyze.
What'd you say? Your own twin?
That's what a Gemini is, like the twins. It's the two twins.
You know,
and so some people say like, I mean, I guess that could probably manifest itself in a lot of different ways. But for me, it feels like introvert, extrovert. That's how it presents itself.
Like you live with both of those people.
Yeah. The introvert and the extrovert. The extrovert is super go with the flow. When I am in that mindset, nothing can touch me.
The extrovert.
The extrovert who understands that you don't have control over anything external, really. Mm-hmm. So you're confident in the actions and the choices you make, and you ride the external wave, baby. And then the introvert this is everything that you can control. This is who you become, or this is how you become who you want to be. Mm-hmm. When you are conscious of your thoughts and your actions. And then that consciousness helps you dictate what's going on around you. That's how you achieve your goals in life, whatever they may be.
I can see that.
Simple or complex, you know?
I definitely lean towards that extrovert hard.
Yeah?
Yeah. I definitely think internally, you know what I mean? And I'm aware of different perspectives.
Okay, let me ask you this.
But I also just love my perspective.
Well, let me ask you this. When you're in a social situation, do you ever feel like the introvert? Or are you always like, ding, extrovert, this is me, social situation, hello, nice to see you?
I feel like, personally, myself, I feel like in any social situation, I'm like, here it is. What's up, dude?
Right.
And
no hesitation.
I know that that's not always taken
the right way.
The right way. Right. I know some people are like, this fucking guy.
He's back at it again with this shit.
Or just strangers like, this motherfucker is too much.
He's a lot.
But I understand that. And I get that. And I don't ever knock people for that, like that point of view, because I get it. I definitely can be a lot. I definitely am loud. I definitely am out there. But I like it. That's who I am. Like, that's what I lean towards. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I'm very like, let's fucking go. You know what I mean? Yeah. I like that fucking, I love that. I love living in that lane.
Yeah.
I know how to get over into the right lane and put on cruise control. I know how to. And I have definitely identified and seen in certain situations where I'm like, I'm being too much. Let's put the blinker on and just
baby.
Hit 62 and just cruise.
Right.
Because I can tell, I can feel it. I can see it.
I'm going 120.
But my favorite lane is the left at 120.
Yeah, right.
It's my favorite.
It's fun.
It's so much fun.
So for me, though...
But it's not always taken great.
That's your Sagittarius, because for me, sometimes that extrovert me, that's not me right now. I'm too introverted. I'm too internal. I'm too in my thought. I'm too into what's happening with me in my head. And I'm removed. I'm disassociated.
Yeah.
I wanted to touch on when you were like, I'm crazy, I'm me, I'm going to be like this, I'm that. I have found that through time, the people that I'm most drawn to are the people that seem most unique to me. And I've always liked, I guess like there's like an era where it was considered like to be a hipster. It was almost like anti
I like everything that everyone else doesn't like.
Right.
Like most people don't like black licorice.
But it's my favorite.
Licorice. It's my favorite.
Right.
And I'll argue to the fucking death deathbed.
Right. Most people would rather just regular smoke a regular Marlboro, but I smoke American Spirits.
Yes.
Because I have a developed taste.
I appreciate it.
Right.
Most people don't appreciate true quality. But
and I think they took it to a certain
I think
extent,
it always leads back to our conversations that we have on every podcast, is that everything has your extremist in it.
Yeah.
Everyone has the extreme. There's the extreme, I hate the words left and right. I really do. Because it always leads back to political, but really, I don't think as left and right as political. I think of it as roads and ideas and thoughts. And there are those that do appreciate quantity over quality, and those two things, like you said, the person that's like, oh, I smoke American Spirits because it's a good quality cigarette, no chemicals, great filter, and people that don't get that, they don't get it. And then there are people that smoke fucking Mavericks. And it's the cheapest of the cheapest.
For that reason, that's why they smoke it.
It don't taste that much more different than the fucking Spirits. And it's $3 cheaper.
You get it.
I see them both.
Yeah.
And I actually like them both.
Yeah. And that's okay.
I think it's a cool ability to be able to go. And that's why I'm like, dude, left lane is my favorite lane, the fucking high speed 120 lane. But I can maneuver into each one.
Yeah.
Is that an extroverted trait?
No, it's because, think about it like this.
Or an awareness? What is that?
I mean, it's just...
Because some people will die
in that lane
before they smoke that Maverick.
Or get out of that lane.
Or some people will die before they pay $7 for the Spirits.
Yeah.
They're like, never, I wouldn't even smoke if I had to pay that price. You know what I mean?
Right.
And those people, to me, I think sometimes I'm always drawn to those people because I'm like, man, I wish I had, not wish, but it would be so cool to be just so goddamn hell-bent on one thing.
Yeah, no, that's not me. I'm so easygoing. I'm so easygoing, dude.
I feel like I'm so like,
yeah.
Dude, I will fucking sit here and smoke them Spirits with you all day, and I'll also go back and smoke them Mavericks too.
Well,
easily.
So you were talking about the two extremes, and then you made the reference of like being in the left lane going 120.
Yeah.
And it's fun.
My favorite lane.
But it's also nice to get into the right lane, drop it down, cruise control at 62, because guess what you can do? You can eat a whole $5 Taco Bell box. While you're going 62, baby, in the right lane.
You know what I think?
You can call your mom. You can tell her you love her.
I can't.
You can do a lot of stuff.
You know what you can do in the right lane? This is my difference between the left and the right lane. In the left lane, you're rolling. You're flying. You're at full speed. Full speed ahead.
Yeah. Get out of my way. Everybody.
You know what you don't
get?
Not
with me?
You know what you don't get in the left lane that you get in the right lane? You can't observe in the left lane your surroundings because you're going so goddamn fast that if you take your eyes off that road,
you're dead.
Call the corner.
Yeah.
In the right lane,
right.
I love the right lane.
You can soak it in and think about it.
Because you can sit back and look around.
Enjoy it.
And I think being able to switch between those two lanes is the key to, for me personally, happiness.
Yeah.
But also, I can see where some people stay in the middle and never either.
Right.
And if they even attempt to go left or right, they're in there for a little bit and they're like, nah.
I'm comfortable. I'd rather just play it easy.
I'd rather just coast in this middle. I don't have to worry about the merge in the right, but I definitely ain't flying at that speed in that left because that's nuts.
Yeah, that's interesting. But before you put the middle lane there,
I think middle lane's my least.
You put in another factor of people that coast, quote unquote, coast,
quote unquote,
through life. That's different. If you just give it again back to the two extremes, because I do think that is how life is. And so it's the two extremes, and you have to learn to fluctuate. And by fluctuating, we've talked about it before, energy through space-time, everything travels in waves, and you go back and forth. You have to be able to go as high as you can and as low as you can to have the depth in life that is required to be what I think is the purpose in life, to just be as
well-rounded.
I don't want to say just to be as here as possible.
Okay.
I don't know. It's hard to put into words, but that's like it's a Buddhist mindset. It's called what the Buddha called the middle path. It's literally talked about from, because that I think you do have to be able to do that. So and I think we've also talked about people that really get low and sometimes don't make it back up. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they need help. They need you to help them understand that you have depth that people will never have. You are so low that people can't understand you. They never will be able to understand you, and that's okay. Because that is special, I think. I think it's special and unique, like I said. I was also think about the two extremes, like you said, right and left. Those are extremes, and we think first time we hear that right and left now in today's age, we hear politics. We hear politics, right? But just think about that concept, and think about all the extremes, up and down.
Well, think about the brain. It's left and right,
black and white,
right? In the brain, left and right.
It's either all the color or no color.
Yeah,
it's either all the way up or all the way down.
And that's what I was just thinking. Is it almost better to be in the left or the right, and the middle is like the worst lane possible?
No, you want to be able to go back and forth. You want to be able to have both of those perspectives.
Yeah, but isn't it like staying in the middle would be the worst technically then?
I mean, yeah, because there's no depth. No depth. You're just a line. You're no heartbeat. You're no heartbeat.
Yeah. So it's like
you're dead.
So, yeah, that's what I'm saying. I feel like it's better to be in the left or the right, but to switch in between the two of them. You have to. Like in the left for like this time, and then switch back to the right. And then, I feel like being in the middle is the meddling. Like you're just.
You come home and you watch Netflix every day, and you've done that for how many years?
Oh no, I don't want.
How many years have you just done nothing with your life?
It's so.
Find something.
Yeah.
Do something. Go outside first. If you're struggling,
I think being outside. There is weird.
Yeah,
that's the weirdest lane.
It's tough.
That's the weirdest lane, actually. Being
have something to talk about with people.
Fucking go low or fucking go high,
or just do it, man. Just do it all. If someone gives you an opportunity, and that's how you look at it for growth. Like, the Watermelon Festival happened. You want to go to the Watermelon Festival? No, I don't.
I know you don't. Yeah,
but guess what? I went.
Yeah, of course.
And guess what I did?
Had fun.
Had a great time.
Great fucking time.
I love it.
I know you did.
Wherever I go, I have a great time. But guess what? I need a little help. Need a little help to get there because you want to go? No, not me. I'd rather just chill here.
See, I'd rather go.
I can find something to do around here. I think that's what's hard about working where you live, maybe. I haven't liked to call the things I do work recently. I like to call it play.
You like remote work?
Never done remote work.
I said working where you live. Like
working
where you live.
Yeah, I said I can understand how that'd be hard. Like you really got to have some discipline.
I like getting out.
You got to have some discipline.
Yeah.
You got to be like, hey.
Before we go too far, you know who else is Geminis? You remember that what I was just saying? I was like, that's my Gemini twin.
Mm-hmm.
Kodak Black and Donald Trump.
Dude, we're Geminis?
They're all Geminis. Because Kodak Black is like, yo... He calls him his uncle. He's like, yo, my Uncle Trump, he's my Gemini twin.
He got him out of jail, didn't he? He got him out of yeah. Are they boys, dude? They're like secretly cool with each other. How old is Kodak Black?
I don't know, but Kodak
Donald Black... Trump's 70 years old, right? 70-something?
Yeah, he's up there. Kodak Black grew up around the Mar-a-Lago area in Florida. And that's where Donald Trump goes and stays, is at Mar-a-Lago. He owns an estate there.
Right.
And Mar-a-Lago is a country club for the rich.
Yeah.
Like the membership's like $200,000 a year to go to Mar-a-Lago. And golf, tennis, spa, gym, locker room.
Right.
You know, we would never but you can go there. I believe if you know someone there and like you can visit.
Right.
But Kodak Black grew up around that area, so he's familiar with it. And I think Trump pardoned him to try to like maybe help out with like a certain type of demographic when it came to the voting.
Oh, okay.
and he fucking had like Kodak Black come.
He had him like with a Make America Great hat.
Yeah. And Kodak Black on the Caleb Presley interview was like, Caleb was like, "Yo, you fuck with Trump?" And he was like, "Yeah, that's my Gemini twin."
Yeah.
He was like, "Yeah." He's like,
he got me out of prison.
That's my Unc Trump. He cool as fuck.
Kodak Black's a crazy dude.
He's actually funny as shit. He's so goddamn funny.
What's the dude on Barstool who he gets ice cream to eat? He gets his boy to eat ice cream.
It's Caleb Presley, the interviewer, the white guy with the ponytail. It's Caleb Presley.
That's what you're talking about.
Yes, he was like, "Yo, what are your thoughts on Trump?" And that's what I'm talking about.
Because Kodak Black, he's
like that. My Gemini twin, dog. He's cool like as a bitch. He said
he seems out of his mind. Can you imagine?
He said he's a super gremlin, dude. He called Trump a super gremlin. He said, "That's my Unc Trump."
Dude,
he a gremlin, bro.
Did you see where Hezbollah started beating the shit out of him?
He fucked him up in the head.
He did. Yeah, he did. I think he legitimately made Hezbollah mad with a question that he asked, and he was like,
he asked him a certain question.
Yeah,
but he was like, people say that Hezbollah is all like whatever it was, all talk and no walk, and Hezbollah was like,
he walked over, started beating his head,
speaking that crazy Dagestan
dude
language. But yeah, Caleb Presley's fucking hilarious, and he be getting some big time interviews
dude.
like Post Malone, Kodak Black.
He had what's the guy who owns the Suns? Who was on
Mark Cuban?
Yeah,
he owns the Mavs.
Oh, the Mavs. That's who it is.
He's had Bert Kreischer on. I mean, he's had a bunch of people on there. He's had Theo on there.
I just saw Bert. He couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah,
Bert couldn't stop laughing.
He had Theo on there.
He's funny, dude. Remember, he used to be at the end of the when Barstool was just Barstool, and he would be at the end of their Snapchat stuff, and he would be like, "Facts."
I watched a documentary.
And he'd be like, "Facts."
I watched a documentary today about Barstool Sports finding Caleb Presley. And it's interesting. And
That's cool.
It's pretty cool. It's like a 25-minute video. You can go on to Barstool's YouTube page, and they have the history of Barstool and all of their chapters and their characters that they've come across. Like Caleb Presley's a character.
Right.
Big Cat's a character. All these guys, Stu Feiner. And it's crazy. And
what's,
you know what?
What's the dude's name? CEO? What's the dude's name? The owner?
Portnoy.
Dave.
Press.
Damn.
You said Sia?
No. CEO.
Oh, I thought you said Sia, and I was like the chick?
Like the artist?
I was like, what are you, crazy?
No, I was thinking of his name Dave, and then I can't remember what the hell I was going to say about him. Yeah. So it's just him going and finding it's just him being like, he's funny to me.
Like, back in the day, not anymore.
It was like,
he don't do that. He's
like
runs Barstool. He doesn't.
But you think because did you see the kid who he interviewed or something?
Yes, and that was hilarious. They were like, "You're clearly lying on your resume," and he's like, "No, I'm not lying." Is that what you're talking about? Like a college kid.
And he was like, "Your troll interview was so funny that you're hired."
Yes, there's a whole chapter about the Barstool interns. Because they take characters, and most of these characters usually have some kind of individual blog.
Well, it's like you were saying about building your audience through third party.
Someone at Barstool will eventually find one of these people and say, "Hey, would you want to come do this?" And they're like, "Sure." And it either works or it doesn't. Like, they've had a bunch of people, characters, that have never taken off, and they're just in it.
They're like, all right,
thanks
for coming.
For a few months, and they're gone. It just didn't work. KFC, Kevin Clancy, he's one of the big Barstool guys. PMT, Big Cat, all them dudes. You know what I mean? And if you watch the history of them, they just were guys that were just doing an internet blog in the early 2000s and had a stance. I'm the guy that knows all about college bowls.
And I'll tell you all about it. I'll tell you what I think about it.
And this and that and the secret societies in these colleges. And I'll tell you everything about them. But that's their passion.
Right.
That's the thing.
Right.
Passion.
Yeah.
Being passionate about something.
And when
whether it's fucking macaroni and cheese, or it's fucking college football, or it's dominoes, or bowling, or cigarettes, or cigars, or cars, whatever it is, as long as you're passionate about it, and you have an actual opinion and knowledge on that passion,
it's awesome.
People will follow you.
It's beautiful. Dude, so
being
that's
real.
That's
what it is.
I noticed about interacting with people with autism, that I've met so many people with autism. And one, just, I was talking about liking unique people.
Yeah.
Regardless of where they're at on the spectrum, they're always pretty unique. And I always find them enjoyable to be around. Well, and so there was, there were one person I knew, they loved cars. Loved cars. And once you told him what car you drove, he always remember. How's your 2013 Ford Fusion SE?
Yeah, with the 5.6 liter engine and the...
You're like, it's good.
Dual
it's
exhaust.
Good. And that's literally all he would talk about.
Is it a sport or luxury edition? Like
he just wanted to say that he just knew everybody's cars. Literally, that's what he knew about people, and that's what he would talk to them about.
That's the coolest people.
It was awesome. And then I knew someone else.
Because when you talk to someone that really knows...
Oh, it's wild.
Deep dive
wild.
On everything in that topic.
There was another...
It's the best.
Another person was vacuums. What vacuum do you have?
Yeah, the Bissell S model.
That's a good model.
That's a good model. It takes that G-size filter.
He said, well, you could upgrade and you could have a bigger capacity with a better battery life if you upgrade to the G4.
The suction loses force on them after about 3 months because the design on that.
So you should probably upgrade.
They have a little flaw with the intake system, and that causes it to not suck for so long. Yeah. But if you fucking clean this part out, which most people don't clean out, it'll actually keep it running forever. And you're like, holy fucking shit.
You're like, thanks for telling me. He's like, yeah, also you can go to Best Buy. They have a sale every 2 months approximately that they drop everything down about 10%, so you can try it out then.
Also, my family keeps trying to do this intervention thing on me, and I don't know why.
They say I'm addicted to Vax.
Been huffing dust out of Vax for years.
Yeah, no, but then I was also thinking when I brought up painting, like when does art as an addiction become frowned upon? Because a lot of, you think, crazy artists in the day were clearly addicts to their craft. Mm-hmm. And I wonder if that's like almost a requirement to be on that level of
passion
of artists.
Yeah,
but a passion that literally it's uncontrollable.
Yeah, it takes over.
Yeah.
It's like I locked myself in a garage for 6 months and did nothing but paint.
Yeah, or Campbell soup cans. I was thinking about writers. I don't know who I was listening about, but just like, dude, people locking themselves in rooms and writing like that, I can understand how people would go crazy doing that.
Of course.
Because I feel like it would drive me crazy.
Yeah, I've never been, and I don't think I would ever be a good writer. That to me is like that would be a tough one because you have to dive deep.
Well, also painting, I don't think I don't have the mind. I can't visually see that stuff in my head. I can't see how to make it in my head.
Yeah, I've never been a good.
I can see how.
I'm not creative. I
can hear things, especially after developing the skill for over a decade of just like audio, sound, understanding it, learning how it feels, how it can do things, whatever. And so, but then I always I don't do that every day, every waking hour. That's not the only thing I do. That's not the whole of my life, So then that makes me also think like, maybe that art's probably not as good as someone who is the specialist. We've talked about the specialist versus the jack of all trades or whatever.
Yeah.
And so that,
there's a 1%.
But then I start to come to terms with it and I accept it. Look, I'm not, because dude, I love to do so many things.
Yeah.
And so what I'll say the most recent thing I've had to learn within the past couple of years is time management, to be able to say, hey, it's not just doing this anymore. It's also doing this. And then it's something else. And it's not just doing that. So you have to figure out how to manage everything and do and take care of all your passions the best you can. So that's what I think is. Yeah.
Well, I mean, what you see in any field, no matter what it is that the 1% of the people that dedicate their time to whatever it is.
It's painting, the one thing.
Basketball, cars, vacuums.
It's one thing, dude.
That's all their life is. They don't have anything else. They're like, I shoot free throws every day for 8 hours. Yeah. I paint every day for 8 hours.
I play billiards.
I take apart vacuums all day, every day. And they're the ones
guitars.
Yep. And that's what I was getting back to.
The specialist that
was I was saying, I've never had that just one thing and nothing else. I always have been like, I like to dab and fucking everything, a little bit of everything.
It felt like music was that for me for a while in my early teens, but it's changed, it's grown. I feel like I've grown, and so I feel like that also is changing but growing in its own way. I think, and that has to do with my personality being that I want to do so many other things.
Yeah.
So it's hard for me to choose. Like, hey, like I said, make that choice. This is the crossroad. Are you a specialist or are you not?
Yeah.
And I made that choice a long time ago.
Yeah. I feel like my thing that I enjoy the most, where if this was going to be my one thing, it's interaction. I love people fucking talking and listening and hearing what this person has to say or thinks or does. And I think that's why I dabble in a bunch of shit, because I like to meet the people in those worlds that are, this is my life. Mm-hmm. And I like meeting those people. And that's why I've always been like, yo, I think I really enjoy, I don't think I know. I know I enjoy talking. That's my favorite thing to do. Because I like meeting people and going, dude.
That's crazy because.
What the fuck?
The job you do for most of your day
is not.
Doesn't a lot for
no,
that.
at all. And I've been thinking about that recently a lot. And that's why, even as a kid growing up, man, I always, like, my dream job was to be on, like, some kind of, like a Saturday Night Live is what I always wanted to do. That was, like, my dream. I was like, I want to go do sketches.
It's fun being goofy.
Fun.
We used to do sketches and shit. Me and your brother.
But my thing was like, I like
act
to
all
do
the time
with people. I fucking like doing shit with people. And that's why I like eventually was at the point where I thought, maybe stand up comedy, but then again, I don't like to write. I don't like to sit down and really pick out a topic or a point or a story and like try to craft it to the point where it's going to be able to get a laugh. You know what I mean? Because I don't always want it to be funny or a laugh.
Right.
And I just want it to be a good fucking story.
Right.
Or a moment where I'm like, yo, listen to this.
Right. And I've noticed listening to comedians that's the way their brain works.
Yes.
Funny.
Yes.
Because that's the way they made that choice. They developed their brain that way, It's in every situation. And I see it in me sometimes, but I hear it more in others, amongst conversation with someone, like you said, maybe a little more serious, where they're like, they say a hilarious joke, but maybe it's just not gotten in the context. Delivered. It's not, and the person maybe isn't as responsive, humor in a way of humor. So they're just like, oh, no, it's not like that. It's continuing on, blah, 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 blah. Yeah. And it's just funny. It goes like overlooked in the conversation, but it's hilarious, and then you can tell.
It's so fun.
That's the way their brain works. Yeah. Even amongst the conversation that they're having in real time, their brain's like, this would be hilarious.
That's how I feel.
This is hilarious.
That's how I feel.
This is so
whenever
funny.
I'm in a group of people talking, or just even me and you talking, I feel like the entire time I
filter out jokes that you can say.
I am looking for the I want to take the shot every time. I want to take it every time.
It's fun.
And it's so much fun, but I also see so many times where it's just like...
not appropriate.
Huh, okay.
It's not appropriate.
So many people are just like, yeah, that's... I gotcha.
So you're not going to say the jokes
anymore.
And
it's such a hard thing to...
You just don't do it anymore.
No, but it's such a hard thing to go throughout like the day like that sometimes, because there are so many different interactions or like social settings where... the whole time the entire group is having a conversation that you can tell they're having a conversation that's like genuine or has meaning or whatever. I'm like, Yeah, but like, what if we fucked those people? You know what I mean? Like, I want to always be like, yeah, but don't you think if they had, like, I just always
absurdity.
Look for the joke.
Your humor is absurd
vulgar,
too.
Like,
your humor is
dark,
vulgar.
And I always,
and vulgar is the hardest one to get out there in the group.
I know, but there's something about shooting that shot that
it's an uncomfortable shot.
Fucking hits the rim and bounces out. You're like,
maybe next time.
But when it lands, it's
a swoosh.
So spectacular.
It's great.
It's so good.
It's great.
It's like walking into the room at Thanksgiving and everyone's sitting in the living room like enjoying the moment. And you're like, hey, there's something wrong with my balls. They're so much bigger than my dick. And everyone's just like, what? But those three people, they're like, what the fuck? I'm like, that's what I do it for.
That's what I do it for.
But that's how my brain works. I always want to take the shot. That's why school, especially in like high school, for me was so much fun because there were so many moments throughout the day in classes where like something would happen or someone would say something.
You had the opportunity.
Like, oh, this is it.
We were class clowns.
And you take it and you're like,
it's great.
Everyone's like chuckles. You know what I mean?
And
but after a while,
off,
you can see where everyone's
funny.
like, God damn, man. All right, this is the 7th one today. Chill. And you're like, fuck.
Yeah, but it's still hilarious to me. So I'm going to do it again.
I remember getting kicked out of class so many times and being like the desk in the hallway kid. Like, go out and sit in the hallway.
Yeah.
And I remember at least a handful of times where a person would show up late to class and I'd be sitting in the hallway already. And they're like, oh, what you doing out here? And I'm like, oh, don't go in there. And they're like, what? And I'm like, there's so much blood. There's just an accident. There's blood all over the floor. Resource officers coming up. Principal's coming up.
Dude,
just chill out here. And they're like, what the fuck are you talking about? And I'm like, motherfucker just hit his head on the damn desk. And that's why I came out here because I can't see it. I can't see it. They're like, oh my God, that's crazy.
Traumatizing young kids.
And then they go in there and they're like, what the fuck is this motherfucker talking about? But to me, it was so much fun.
So that's like
pranks.
It's like Andy Kaufman, the Jim Carrey Man on the Moon.
Yeah, I just love
what I took away from that Andy Kaufman, Jim Carrey's portrayal of him in that film. It gave me a wonderful perspective on comedy, and I talk about it all the time.
Yeah, I know you do. You love that fucking.
To where what is funny to me, it is hilarious when I shoot the shot and it's dead. If it dies and it's nothing,
no reaction,
that is hilarious.
Yeah, because you just fucking creeped everybody out.
That's that Andy Kaufman thing. Like, you never know when he's joking, and you know those moments when he was, and it was just hilarious to this guy.
I love it. I love
that too, dude.
I love taking someone from the state of mind that they're in and completely detouring it just like that with something absurd and obscene. I love it. It's my favorite thing to do because it's such a surprise that you can see it when it hits. You're just like,
everyone's like, ooh.
Everyone's like, oh. Jesus Christ. And
I'm like, yes. It's always like a disappointment.
That to me is the reward.
I love the disappointment. But then again,
I also get that sometimes so many people are just like, God damn, man, just come on.
You took it too far and you're like.
But I love taking it too far because that's how you know, I think that's how you dial it in. You have to take it out there.
Right. We talked about it. You got to get out there to
and I love
know
it. I love
where
it
you got to
because
go back
some
on the
people
other
don't
side,
ever go out there. And I love just, and you can do it with words so
do it in
easily.
any way.
You can do it so fast
through
too.
your life. Just extend, stretch a little bit. You're not gonna break. You might bend. I don't think you're gonna break. I think we're malleable beings. I think we're meant to grow in ways that's unfathomable to us. Like, can you imagine telling someone, a couple hundred years ago that we were going to be on the moon, that we were going to go up there? I was listening the other day, like, apparently when they talked about space flight, it was like an impossibility. There was a majority of the scientific community that said flying through space is an impossibility because there's no, blah, 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 blah. And we just figured it out with propulsion.
It's not practical.
We figured it out.
Yes, of course.
We presented with a problem and we found a solution. And that's what, I was listening to somebody talk about cryonics.
Yes.
Not cryogenics, but cryonics, where cryonics is where they're preserving the human body in the hopes that it will be able to be brought back in some way in the future.
When technology
we don't know how that's going to happen, but apparently I was listening to a podcast where, shout out Theo Vaughn. He had this Dr. Max Moore from a company called Alcor, and it's literally a nonprofit. They've been around for not long at all. When the dude started in there, he said, I was one of 60 members. There were 3 patients, is what they call the people that elect to
have this process done.
You can either do your whole body for $200,000, or you can do just your head. Your brain stays in your skull. You do that for $80. That's it. Really cheap. Surprisingly cheaper than I thought it would be. But apparently, our technology now can fully preserve that.
Yeah, like
and especially, which I didn't understand, it has to do with the way we're pronounced dead. When we are pronounced legally dead, most of the time, the majority of the time, you can always be brought back to life.
Like resuscitated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Whatever happens in the body can usually be like reset.
Yeah.
Most of the time.
Well, that's why like people have those like DNR like
do not resuscitate.
Because I don't want to come back and be a vegetable.
That moment that technically we could bring you back to life, well, we'll just send you to negative 320 degrees.
Yeah. Well,
because we can do that. Liquid nitrogen, and that's literally what now, it was 3 people, call it 50, 60 years ago. I don't know how long they've been a company, I don't remember, but I mean, he said now they have 196 patients.
Well, I mean, the mummies in some way, shape, or form preserve the body and maybe hopes of being brought back one day.
Ancient culture, ancient civilizations were doing that. Yeah,
they cover them with salt and wrap them up, and they're like, maybe this will keep... Because they did it with some of those mummies who are fucking hella old, and the body's still not even that bad.
The skin is so long.
And maybe they thought like that was their way of like preserving the body in hopes that maybe technology one day will be good enough to bring our pharaohs and prophets back.
Yeah.
And we're doing it now. And sometimes technology, you hear all about the stories of like cars could have been created, hundreds of years ago, but the technology wasn't there.
Yeah.
And I think people like visionaries that can see that one day this will be a possibility. It's just we don't have the resources and the tools right now. And I think that's what us as a species, humans, can identify better just better than any other species. Like we know that the possibilities are limitless because one day it will be able. We can never travel to the moon. We can never. It's not going to happen, and this is why. But there are always those few people that are like,
I'm going to figure it out.
One day,
I'm going to figure it out.
If one day we have this that can propel a vessel at this speed,
blah, 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 blah,
and form to that point, we can do it.
Yeah. And they figure it out.
Those are those. You need those people. Mm-hmm. You need those people that are those thinkers beyond the average.
Yeah.
Just turn.
And initially,
you can't do that.
They're deemed insane.
Yes, of course.
You're crazy.
All those people
are
always deemed insane.
Copernicus, you're crazy.
They said Beethoven's like symphonies at the time that he was like making them. People were like, "This is the worst dog shit of all time." You think this is fucking music? This is terrible.
That's so funny.
This is a bunch of fucking instruments playing at one time in some kind of choreographed way that you think sounds good. This sucks.
It's always perspective.
They're like, it sucks. And
but see,
Beethoven was like, dude, right now, for this time, maybe, but at some point in time, this will be identified as some of the best music of all time.
Right, but what if you helped other people understand life in these ways and help them? And that's the point, I think.
That could be your passion.
Yeah, maybe. I just think like that's how you really grow as you call it a species, call it humankind. That's how we grow as people, man. That's how we grow as humanity.
That's how you continue on without becoming extinct.
Look, I understand. We talked about it. Not even 300 years old. Supposedly one of the greatest countries in the world. Right? I think we're trying to do it the best we can do it. But there's a way to do it better.
Of course.
Again, I don't know that way. I don't know. But when you educate people and you give them that mindset that we can figure this out. This may feel like apocalypse. This may feel like the end of times. This may feel like an impossibility. But let's just try. When you can help people have that mindset, dude, we'll definitely be on Mars.
Oh, yeah.
We'll definitely be on Mars.
We're going to be able to, like, travel to, like,
dude, we're going to be able to do things you couldn't even, that our science fiction hasn't even thought of yet. That's what I think. I think we'll survive. I think as a species, humanity, I think we can be interplanetary.
Of course.
Because that's, I mean, like you said, when you have an understanding of the universe, it's just fact that this Earth is going to die.
Eventually.
Right now it's alive.
Yep.
It has given us the opportunity to grow. And so we need to use it. And we need to learn from it. Whatever it may be. Call it whatever you want. Use whatever words you want. But we got to figure out how to survive. And time is limitless.
But we've proven time and time again that we have. And we will continue to.
I mean, dude, like, when we've talked about dimensions and time, like, that's how I think. I think it's literally going to be unfathomable on this podcast. He was like, dude, can you think about waking up in 3022?
Oh, no.
Can you even imagine?
Mm-mm. I can't imagine waking up in 50 years from now. Like, what it's going to be.
Oh, my goodness.
So different. Think about
Crazy.
Think about 1980 to 2020. If you told someone in 1980 at the fucking breakfast table drinking a cup of coffee that one day we're going to be able to pull up anything we want to know in 2 seconds in our pocket, they'd be like,
you're crazy.
Hey, where's the closest fucking mental ward? Because send this guy there now. And that's the thing. You can't. You can't fathom what, I would say even 10 years.
It's crazy, right?
But
I say tomorrow.
Yeah, maybe. That would have to be super
surprising,
like a hyper event. Like I don't know if
like no one would have guessed this happened. Bang, pow, bang.
Yeah, I think from today to tomorrow, if it was that drastic of a change, there's no way.
Sometimes that's how it happens, brother.
Yeah,
but what you looking at?
We're there.
Yeah,
if it's been fun. Today's episode of Ultra Wisdom is brought to you by Decon. Rat poison that's been around for a long time. These guys at Decon have been making rat poison since the 40s, and they've done it efficiently, effectively, and for low cost. Sometimes you move into a home and might have a little issue with some mice and some rats. A little attic, a little shed.
The little chocolate treats left all over your table.
And they're creatures of this earth, and sometimes they find a little new home, and sometimes that new home is your home. And for so many years, these poor guys, when we take that poison up there and we plant it, they take a bite out of it, and then they go on to heaven because we need them out. And the easiest way for us to do that is, by Decon providing us with these poison baits. But Decon did a survey amongst the rats and listened to them, and they said, hey man, if you're going to take us out, at least let us have something good to go out with. Nice little flavor in our mouth. So Decon's new product is going to be like in that movie Willy Wonka, where Violet Beauregard had the gobstopper that was a 3-course meal. These new traps provide the mouse or the rat or the varmint, whatever you want to call it, with a nice little 3-course meal before they leave. They take a bite out of that block. They have a little app, a little starter.
Nice.
They get an entree.
Mott sticks?
Mott sticks, spin dip, wings, whatever. Based off the pack that you buy, they all come in different flavors. You might get hit with the fucking buffalo wing pizza and then tiramisu, and then they go on. They might get hit with the spin dip, Fiesta lime, and then a fucking Oreo shake. But guess what? These guys no longer are leaving this earth with a bad taste in their mouth. They're leaving it with a great last meal. And that's what Decon's all about. Providing the easiest way for these guys to be transported to the next realm. So go to decon.com, use promo code ULTRA, and add 1 dump truck size full of bait blocks to your shopping cart, and they'll be able to give you 25% off and free shipping. And if you refer a friend, they'll provide your next dump truck full of bait at your house for 50% off. So, again, don't send these little dudes off to hell or heaven with a bad taste. Who wants to have poison in their mouth when you're going away from this planet? No one. Wouldn't you rather pass and go on to the next world with a nice little 3-course meal?
Yum yum sauce.
Oh, dude. Can you imagine getting hit with a little ginger salad and then a little chicken hibachi and then topping it off with a little bit of fucking...
pineapple dessert?
Oh, dude, upside down. So, again, go on to decon.com, use promo code ULTRA, and get your first order, dump truck size order of poison block baits delivered to your home, and make these guys' last seconds on Earth worth it. See you next time, friends.
Mm-hmm.
Love you. Untitled Wisdom.